We have seen examples in the market where people went bet on this AI and went with full steam ahead. And then now they're looking back to see how they can revise their strategy, bring back a human in the mix. For example, I will improve your efficiency to 34 to 40% workforce reduction. It's very lucrative for any leader, any decision makers. Speed gives you that sense of accomplishment. Governance does not. Governance is slow. It may appear to slow you down, but in my experience, when we build the governance and risk council models, before even we start off with any AI project, it paid off. Yes, productivity gain is great, but not at the expense of customer trust issues and other things.
You're listening to Data Analytics Chat, where data meets career.
Everyone says they want to use AI, but very few leadership teams can answer a much harder question. Which decisions should AI be involved in and which ones should it stay out of? In this episode of Data Analytics Chat, I'm joined by Durai Rajamanickam, Senior AI Leader, and we will discuss how to make successful decisions in AI. Durai, welcome to the show.
Hi, Ben. Yeah, nice to chat with you, and it's great to join your podcast.
So, Durai, before we dive in, could you give listeners a quick introduction to who you are and the work you're leading today?
Sure. Ben, as you see that I am in data and AI space for the last 2 decades, and I started off with data engineering, supercomputing, and then here I am leading some of the AI initiatives, especially around, it's not about building models, it's more about making AI useful to the business, enabling the business, and reaching the targeted ROI. These are the area I'm currently focusing on, and I do consulting in this area.
Brilliant. So there's a lot going on in the field. What do you feel, what experience has most shaped how you approach AI initiatives in organizations today?
Yeah, we can put that in 2 major buckets. One, yes, every organization wants to build their technical capabilities around AI, be it agentic AI, be it AI tools that enabling higher productivity in the business team. That's one area. And the second, I see most of the focus is on where do I invest? And is there a potential future proof there? And if I invest heavily today, and am I going to be relevant down the line in 6 to 8 months? So that's another area of focus I see pretty much across different places. And this area is crowded by a lot of tools. So there is a potential consolidation that can happen down the line. So that is another area of concern, basically. So putting it all together, it boils down to 2 areas. One is I'm investing what is going to be my ROI. And how do I take my team from where they are today to mostly AI-enabled team? And again, it comes with the notion of how do I be efficient with the minimum task force, right? That's been another focus. So, yeah, technical and business lens. It goes to the same mold IT initiatives. Initially, if you remember 10 to 20 to 30 years ago, when IT has come, it boils down to only 2 areas, either business and technical capabilities. I think we are not far from that with respect to AI.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting how businesses go about this because obviously, like you said, there's a lot of clouds out there, a lot of tools, but also then do you think building it obviously takes more time, but a big in-house capability, which is going to take longer, but it's unique to your business. There's a lot of different avenues businesses need to go down, isn't there?
Yeah. And in fact, along these lines, I also built certain tools. It's all in the infinidatum.com or any AI professional consulting person or business teams can evaluate where and how exactly they should focus, whether build versus buy. As you mentioned, should I build the capability inside or should I buy the tools and improve my capabilities? And the second is calculating the ROI is very complicated. It doesn't always reflect it as just formula, right? We had to account some of the empirical relation based on the in-house productivity in certain technical capabilities, and also the business functions and what are we automating and where do we really go for 100% deterministic automation, where if there is one a human evaluation needed, where do I place them? This becomes the major area of focus where most of the industries I've seen or leaders I've been working with is really concerned. You cannot just take a decision and then implement and then look back, right? We have seen examples in the market where people went bet on this AI and went with full steam ahead. And then now they're looking back to see how they can revise their strategy, bring back a human in the mix. So that's where I'm seeing the focus and the current situation with respect to AI investments or AI decisions.
Yeah. So when leaders say we want to use AI, what problems do you most often see them misdiagnosing?
The organizations today, I wouldn't say misdiagnosing, but the thing is, the hype around AI and too much of information may lead to certain hasty decisions, right? Okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to improve my efficiency and ROI, and I will showcase the credibility on this. And I jump right in. And then there are a lot of vendors and a lot of the consulting organizations enabling this hype around it, right? That's where I'm seeing most of the problems rise, actually.
So you mean, sorry, you mean like there's too much hype and I guess
Yeah.
getting people excited.
They
Really
go
need to,
right. Yes.
like, yeah.
And every conference is filled with a lot of promises that whether they keep it or not, the promises are always given at the leadership level. And it's very lucrative, right? For example, I will improve your efficiency to 34 to 40% workforce reduction. It's very lucrative for any leader, any decision makers. But the reality is, AI will not bring clarity to the business automatically, right? Just because you have plenty of data, it's just not going to be aligned with the decision you wanted to improve, right? It's not about the intelligence, it's more about agreement. With the business team, are we agreeing on right level of goals, success measures, and who owns the outcome? Without this clarity, getting into the AI will definitely lead to addressing a problem that we don't intend to address. That's how I see that.
So how can a leadership team tell early that they're solving the wrong problem with AI?
Again, they are changing the strategy. They are coming back and revising whatever they have made the decision. So there's always option to do a course correction, right? It's not they went ahead and they will continue with that. And people have taken complete 360 work around on that. But here is what I have seen pretty much is where successful implementations are. There is a very good business team's participation in terms of defining the goals and success metrics. It goes early on. It's not needless to say, AI is not about an IT decision, right? People know that it is a business decision. Organization knows this. The real difference is, are they making these goals and success metrics closer to the reality than buying the hype or by going for what promises that are offered by vendor and other consulting organizations, right? The reality check is important. Working with the business, understanding these outcomes and what it involves. For example, if you're automating the entire workflow, business workflow, right, without human checks and balances, just because you wanted to improve productivity, it will lead to some problems because there are issues like hallucination, on issues like grounding. Not all of them are addressed 100% in the technical parlance, right? So that's where I'm seeing the leaders are making a right decision when they work with business in the early stage of initiatives and continue to check with them and continue to work with them. And that's how it's getting implemented and run successfully.
Okay, interesting. So would like misunderstandings where would they typically show up first? Would it be in the strategy, in the data, or operating model?
It's strategy. That's where it's very important. If you
Yeah.
see industry, level of strategy will always lead to right level of stakeholder engagement, implementation plan, and then productionalization. The strategy should not be taken like any other IT strategy or any other the business strategy we are in, because as far as the AI, everything is involved. And I'm seeing people sometimes ignore governance as, okay, one-off checklist we can deal with in the later. Governance comes first. Likewise, you need to have that 360-degree strategy here for any AI initiative to be successful.
Okay. Then can you walk us through a decision involving AI that looked good on paper but didn't work out as expected?
Yeah, in some cases, I've seen that the model is tested, very well tested. But once it is deployed, a lot of friction, it slows the teams down and customer experience is not subtle. And it's not about the model. It's not that they've been fully considered how people would interact with it and how the output shape up everyday decisions. So this is where the difference is what is in paper and what versus the reality. The main thing is the operations. In the business, operations and the human, those details really matters. Sometimes the early stage of AI, I don't think so people are doing this now, but in the early stage of the hype, right? People bank on the models. Okay, I'm bringing this model, I'm building this in-house RAG and everything. So all are going to be very good. And it's not because the core operation details were missed out or not considered, seen as more of a technical excellence rather than working together with the business team. I think the industry has shifted from that, at least in the late stage of 2025. People aware of this, that models are the now only answers to the solution. There should be the entire operations involved, human details involved, than just the model. I think that awareness is already there.
Yeah. I guess it's part of the journey, isn't it? It's learning. You have to go through this experience to change how you evaluate the AI.
Yeah, and some companies, they evaluate and learn. Some are learning from others, but not all the experiences are shared in the public domain. Some are closely kept. I think it would help a lot if this information is democratized, would save significant amount of time and money for others to learn. But I think that's too much to ask to individual companies. But yeah, hopeful that that kind of learning is democratized across industry and across experts and consultants and whoever is working on the AI.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no shortcuts in life. It's you just got to go through it, and it's a learning. Like everything's learning. So where do you see businesses making their biggest trade-off right now? Is it like speed versus governance? Is it innovation versus trust? Or is it more centralized versus embedded teams? Where would you say you're seeing most of this right now?
It's again the trade-off between speed and versus governance, right? I think many organizations now, they're navigating the balance between how fast I can go and how do I build that trust. Building trust comes from right level of transparency and governance behind it, right? But it slows you down. So it's the right trade-off. Whichever the organization is doing well, they're the one actually putting the trust and oversight as part of progress. And they don't see that is essentially slowing them down. They're seeing that is very critical than moving quickly. So once it is established, once that framework is in place, as we expand the business, as we do more AI initiatives, it is all part of the framework. We will have more confidence and we can move with agility. But without doing that, straight away I'm jumping into AI and wanted to see all the outcome. It may give a temporary benefits, right? But the problem with that. So that's what I'm seeing the trade-off here.
And so I guess it's so speed, like for leaders, is that the trade-off that's like most underestimated then?
Yes. Yeah. Speed is energetic. Speed gives you that sense of accomplishment. Governance does not. Governance is slow. It may appear to slow you down, but in my experience, when we build the governance and risk council models, before even we start off with any AI project, it paid off because everybody knows their role and everyone knows what expected and what are the operational risk involved. It's just not AI investment risk alone. You have operational risk, you have customer engagement risk, and then customer experience risk. So risk has multiple domains here, right? So all of them has to be considered, and that comes only in the right level of governance framework. If this is established, there will be a lot more trust for business to onboard with any automation. And otherwise, you remember when in the beginning of 2025 or 2024, there will be a lot of expensive POCs were done and then thrown out eventually. I think industry is moving from that along with a lot of learnings. I'm seeing a lot of organizations taking initiatives on this core governance and trust building exercise. I think that will continue the rest of the 2026, and that would be the year of building AI governance and AI trust. And then you bring a lot of automations into rural enterprise.
Yeah, and I guess for organisations, if you obviously companies want to move quick because obviously they want to get their products out and obviously whatever projects they're doing, but obviously they must. If you're doing it too fast, it's going to create you such a risk or a backlash within your company, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what's a decision leader's delay for too long when it comes to AI?
It comes to the level of automation or the authority AI should actually have, right? That's a quantification question, and that's very important. When this is not clear, team will be uncertain about how much they should rely on the tools heavily, right? And also how effectively you are using tool. You're investing heavily on these tools, how much you want to rely on them. And this uncertainty will slow down and impact the confidence of the team. And even the technology is sound, this decision is very important. This clarity is important. Again, this goes back to the same point that I made earlier. When setting up the goals and setting up what is the level of outcome I'm planning for this particular initiative, it can improve over the projects. But in the initial period, when the team is engaged on setting up the right goal and right level of outcome expectations and level of autonomy that you wanted to build with the AI, it's very important decision to make. The more delay, the more impact it will be for the team and for the investment they are making and effective use of the tools that they are invested in.
And is it normally the delay? Is it normally like inaction between business and tech, agreeing on initiatives?
Correct. Yeah. Both are agree. And again, the level of autonomy, if you look at it, it's not an IT decision, it's a business decision. Yeah. So they should say, okay, I mean, of autonomy, I haven't come across like which is 100% of complete business process have AI autonomy. That's too risky, right? With respect to the consumers, with respect to the company's internal operations, it's better to level set that. I'm going with this particular initiative with 40% of autonomy, 60% of autonomy, and remaining will be a human in the loop, and then operators in the loop, and decision makers in the loop. So that's an important clarification is required for the team to reach that level of goals. Yeah, that goes back to the same answer.
Yeah, cool. Okay, then I guess how do you personally decide when to trust AI outputs and when to override them?
It's an important question. Personally, if it depends on the situation, right? We will look at from a reversible perspective. I can make a mistake, but can I reverse it and course correct it? And how well I can understand the model's reasoning capabilities, right? I come from causal thinking perspective, so that's my background too. So it's very important on just certain decisions are made with mere correlations or this that the right level of causation is there. But not everything is built with causal influence in the back end. But this level of thinking is required, is what I believe. First, even if I fail, can I reverse it? And is that model is behaving reasonably? And do I understand that reasons, right? That would be my personal side of how I decide whether I trust AI outputs or not. And if the stakes are high, I would prefer AI to support the judgment than replace my decisions. And it builds gradually, and gradually I can build the autonomy in the AI and then start trusting it, right? But it takes time. This is how I would approach personally. Like even in my day-to-day decisions, I use AI tools, of course, like ChatGPT or for my coding, I use cloud, but it's nothing beyond my decision, right? So it enhances my productivity, but do I trust them 100%? No. I take my own decisions on certain outcomes, certain deliverables I make.
So are there particular specific signals that will tell you that the system is helping versus misleading?
Yes, you can find them early on where the system trying to do things that you are not expecting it to. It will mislead us if we think, oh, it gets automated. Okay, let the system do that. I will restrict my own enthusiasm with that, right? I have to curb my enthusiasm with all the AI outcomes. So I have specific goals and I have specific tasks, and that's what I want the AI to do. I don't want anything more than that. If it does, I will not take it. That's the discipline that we have to follow. At least that's what I learned from my experience. So that's the signal you can see. If anything goes beyond what you asked, we have to take a vigilance lens and then look at that again, and then take only what is that we asked for it. The goals. That's why I think setting the goals and sticking to that goals is very important. And not excess, not low.
It's important then, isn't it, for you, obviously to partner with AI, but you still got to have the good knowledge of the data, what it means for your business, so you stay aligned.
I see a lot of tools in the market that are claiming a lot of automations, but I look through the skeptical lens only, because it's not just the hallucination alone, right? Sometimes not understanding of what I need for automation versus what is claimed to be understood and they're automating it, right? That's where the signal comes. Yes, productivity gain is great, but not at the expense of customer trust issues and other things. So that's why I would be very careful in what outcome I am taking it and what outcome I would use it for my customers.
Yeah, not brilliant. And then if you advising a leadership team today, what's the one AI decision they'll regret not making in the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, it's going to evolve. There's no such like a specific scale right now. But I think many teams wish they had spent more time defining how AI decisions are owned and evaluated across the organization. I think that's important to look at. And then there's no future proof for the tools. It will keep evolving. Every 2 months, there is some new level of automation.
Yeah.
For me. But the clarity around the responsibilities and learning how that require, it takes time to build. And that foundation should be in place to make everything else feel more manageable. That's how I'm seeing the leadership team also will evolve. That's our advice. They will look at it. And this return of investment is a glorified term in the AI space. But in the end, what matters is everybody is interested in efficiency gain. And if that's what we are driving towards, then that cannot come alone. It has to come with the right level of trust and the governance. That would be my advice back.
Yeah, no, I think obviously you mentioned at the start, like, it's so much hype, and I think it's obviously strong for leaders when you're speaking with business is to manage expectations, because there's so much hype and ROI, like you said. Yeah, businesses want this, but obviously you just touched on it. Projects are not done quick. It takes time. You need to think things through, and also you need to go through a learning phase, because the AI in a business is you're embedding it in a new company sort of thing. So it needs to be embedded properly and effectively, basically, to make sure you are getting the right data. Because if you go down the wrong rabbit path, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for the conversation.
No problem, Bennett. I enjoyed the conversation, a lot of insights. But I'm also getting while discussing this. So thanks for putting together that.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. And listeners, thanks for listening. Hopefully you're finding the conversations useful. Again, please make sure you follow or subscribe to Data Analytics Chat so you don't miss future episodes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Ben. Bye.
You've been listening to Data Analytics Chat Podcast. Subscribe to our channel for more stories and insights in data and career.